Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever felt that that confusing frustration? You see, some people, they just seem to effortlessly build financial stability, maybe even wealth,
Right.
while you, even though you're working incredibly hard, feel kind of trapped,
Hmm.
just getting by, maybe even feeling, well, broke.
Yeah, absolutely. And that nagging question always comes up. Is it really just about how much money you make?
That question is exactly the core of what we explored in this deep dive,
Yeah.
because it feels like it should be about income, right?
Totally intuitive. But the material we dug into time and time again, it shows that staying broke isn't just a simple math problem. It's often not.
Exactly. It's not purely about the dollars in versus dollars out. This comprehensive guide we've been diving into,
Yeah.
the one focused on financial transformation,
Mm.
it makes this really powerful argument. The real barriers keeping people stuck, they're often much deeper.
Yeah, they're woven into our mindset, our habits, and these sort of invisible traps we just fall into without even realizing it sometimes.
What's fascinating here is the premise that, to truly break free from that paycheck to paycheck feeling, to get out of debt, build real wealth,
Right.
you first have to understand why most people get stuck.
Yeah.
It's about uncovering those forces, the ones that keep people orbiting around financial struggle.
Often without them even seeing the pattern.
So our mission in this deep dive,
Yeah.
to pull out the absolute sharpest insights from this material, the surprising bits, the foundational truths, and the concrete strategies
The actionable stuff.
that help you understand what genuinely matters to take control of your money and your future. Ready?
Let's dive in. And the material, it starts right where maybe the biggest surprise lies with that invisible foundation.
Yeah, the very first section hits you right away with what the source calls the broke mindset trap. Honestly, this feels like the linchpin.
It really does. The core idea is that the single biggest barrier often isn't lack of opportunity or even lack of hard work.
Right.
It's your mindset. It's positioned as the absolute non-negotiable first step towards any kind of financial freedom.
And this broke mindset trap, it's defined as like a whole cluster of deeply ingrained beliefs, habits, emotional patterns.
Yeah, things that basically create this holding pattern of financial struggle, like a default setting running in the background that you might not even be conscious of.
Which brings us back to that really striking contrast we mentioned right at the start. The material showed so many people earning six figures
Yeah.
who were just utterly stressed about money, maybe even technically broke because of spending, living side by side with folks on modest incomes who are steadily building wealth.
And the guide argues the difference isn't the paycheck size, it's that underlying mindset.
That's right. Your mind becomes this filter, doesn't it? It interprets every financial interaction, bills, purchases, chances to save through the lens of your deepest money beliefs.
Totally. If you truly believe money's scarce, or you think, oh, I'm just bad with numbers, or that wealth is only for, like, lucky people,
Yeah.
your brain will unconsciously steer your choices to basically prove those beliefs right. It's like this hidden force directing your financial life.
Okay, but where do these really powerful limiting beliefs even come from? The material traces the roots back, often surprisingly, to early life.
Think about the phrases you heard growing up, right? Money doesn't grow on trees, or we can't afford that.
Or even just witnessing constant stress about money between parents.
Exactly. Those messages get deeply embedded, and it's not just family, it's culture, school, society, even the environment you surround yourself with.
That's huge. If your closest circle is full of scarcity thinkers, always complaining about money, afraid of risks.
That becomes your normal. You just absorb those patterns.
But the flip side is true too. Deliberately being around people who are actively building wealth, who have a positive financial outlook.
That can slowly, gradually start to reprogram your own thinking. It's osmosis, almost.
The guide details some really common mindset blocks that just show up again and again, keeping people stuck. There's the scarcity mentality.
Right, that constant fear, the hesitation, avoiding calculated risks because you see life as zero-sum. Like if someone else wins, you automatically lose.
Then the victim mentality. Feeling like external factors are always against you. Blaming the economy, the boss, circumstances.
Yeah, and that feeling of powerlessness, it just kills initiative. Why bother trying if it's always someone else's fault, right?
Instant gratification is a huge one too. That wired-in desire for the quick reward makes impulsive spending so easy.
And makes delaying gratification, like saving or investing, feel almost painful.
And fear of failure. That just paralyzes action, doesn't it? People avoid trying new ways to earn or save because the thought of it not working out feels like a disaster.
Not just a learning step, yeah. So they stay frozen in that financial rut.
And the fixed mindset, believing your financial abilities are just set in stone, thinking, oh, I can't learn budgeting, or I'm just not a money person.
That slams the door on growth before you even start.
Money shame and guilt are incredibly powerful too, often tied to past mistakes, maybe.
Definitely. Or perceived failures. They make people feel unworthy of success and can actively stop them from seeking help or even admitting there's a problem.
And subtly, there's this weird comfort in familiarity. Unconsciously, people might sort of gravitate towards financial struggle because, well, it feels safer than the unknown territory of success.
Strange, but true sometimes. And these mindset blocks aren't just thoughts. They directly control behavior.
Right. If you genuinely believe you're bad with money, why would you even try to budget or learn about investing? You just avoid it.
And if you operate from scarcity, you won't take those calculated risks, like asking for a raise or starting a side hustle. You're too afraid you'll lose the little you have.
And the self-sabotage is so real. That impulsive spending, maybe after a tough day or you're bored or feel like you deserve it,
Yeah, give you that short-term emotional hit.
but just drains resources and makes the problem worse.
Yeah.
Procrastinating on financial tasks, giving up after small setbacks.
It all flows from those hidden underlying beliefs.
But here's the good news, and the material really emphasizes this.
Yeah.
Your mindset is absolutely not fixed. This isn't a life sentence.
Thank goodness, right. The science of neuroplasticity shows your brain can rewire itself. Think of it like forging new paths in a forest.
Yeah.
The more you consciously practice new thoughts, positive affirmations, visualization, and surround yourself with positive influences, the stronger those new pathways get.
And it's so tied into daily habits, isn't it? The guide points out that actually doing small, positive financial things,
Like tracking one expense, saving $10, reading one article.
that helps cement the new beliefs. And developing emotional intelligence. Recognizing your spending triggers, your financial anxieties, and choosing a different response.
That's key, making conscious choices instead of just reacting automatically.
So the practical steps to escape this trap, to actively rewire your brain, they're laid out pretty clearly. It starts with just awareness and reflection.
Yeah, maybe journaling about early money memories, or just noticing that negative self-talk around money as it happens.
Then actively challenge those limiting beliefs. Ask yourself, is this really truly true? Where's the evidence against this belief?
And consciously replace them with empowering statements like, instead of I'm bad with money, try I am learning to manage money better, bit by bit.
Deliberately surround yourself with positive influences. Find mentors, friends, communities, even just follow personal finance media that focuses on abundance and smart strategies.
Exposure matters so much.
Create small, achievable financial wins. Track expenses for a week. Save just $5 a day. Pay off one tiny debt.
And celebrate those little victories. They build momentum and confidence. It's huge.
Visualize financial success. Spend time actually imagining what life will be like when you're financially free.
Yeah.
See yourself making those different choices.
It's a powerful motivator, visualization.
Practice gratitude too. Actively focus on what you do have, not just what you lack. Apparently, this rewires your brain toward abundance and cuts down anxiety.
Definitely reduces that money anxiety.
So-
Then educate yourself continuously. Knowledge is the ultimate fear reducer.
Yeah, it builds empowerment. Learn about budgeting, investing basics, financial planning, anything.
And the power of accountability shouldn't be underestimated. Share your goals with someone you trust. Or join an online group.
Keeps you honest,
Right.
especially when those old patterns try to sneak back in.
Exactly. Specific steps to break from what some call a poverty mindset really boil down to taking radical responsibility, committing to learning, embracing calculated risks, not reckless ones, and celebrating every step forward.
Ultimately, the material keeps coming back to mindset as the absolute non-negotiable foundation.
It really is. Without addressing these deep beliefs and emotional patterns, any external strategy, any budget, any side hustle, any investment plan is probably going to crumble eventually.
Maybe you'll just default back to the familiar broke pattern.
Right. Changing your mindset literally changes your deepest relationship with money. It can transform it from a source of constant stress into a tool for building the life you actually want.
It's a powerful starting point. And the guide points out, remember, every single person you might admire financially, they started somewhere.
Likely with doubts and fears just like anyone else. The difference is they chose to actively break free from that internal trap.
Okay, so once you start shifting that foundational mindset, understanding the internal game, the material makes it clear you have to tackle one of the biggest external forces keeping people stuck: debt.
Yeah, transitioning from mindset, our deep dive moves right into what the source calls the debt cycle prison.
And debt is presented as one of the most, well, destructive forces out there, a silent trap limiting freedom and wealth potential for so many people.
Basically, it's borrowed money you have to pay back plus interest.
And that interest. That's the
Mhm.
killer, isn't it? That's the price you pay for having the money now, but it just grows relentlessly.
Often way faster than your ability to pitch back, especially with high interest stuff like credit cards or those awful payday loans.
Add in fees and penalties, and your cash flow just gets totally crushed. There's nothing left to save or invest.
The guide paints a pretty stark picture. Debt can become a genuine financial prison. You end up working incredibly hard just to pay off the interest.
Never even touching the principal amount you borrowed.
Exactly. And certainly not building any wealth or achieving any kind of freedom.
So why do so many people fall into this cycle? The reasons seem layered.
They are. Lack of basic financial education is a huge factor. It's just incredibly easy to misuse credit if you don't understand the real consequences.
Living beyond your means, too, fueled by consumer culture and how easy it is to get credit now.
Mm-hmm. Emergency expenses hitting when there's absolutely no financial cushion built up.
And those psychological traps, spending to cope with stress, chasing instant gratification, using credit feels like the easy way out in the moment.
And the minimum payment illusion. That's a key trap the guide highlights.
Oh yeah, paying only the minimum just drastically prolongs the debt.
And exponentially increases the total interest you pay over the years. It's shocking when you see the numbers.
The debt cycle itself is this vicious pattern. Start small, maybe a few purchases.
Then maybe missed payments or only making minimums leads to compounding interest and fees piling up.
Then you feel forced to borrow more, just to cover those costs, or even just basic living expenses.
And suddenly the debt is growing faster than your income, leading to that suffocating, trapped feeling.
And the emotional toll.
Oh.
The source really highlights this. It's not just financial.
Not at all. It's constant anxiety, depression, stress. It affects your sleep, your productivity, your overall well-being.
And that stress actually impairs decision-making, right? Makes people avoid looking at bills or make impulsive choices that just dig the hole deeper.
Absolutely. It's crucial, though, to distinguish between different types of debt, as the guide does. There's what's often called good debt versus bad debt.
Okay, explain that.
Good debt generally helps you build wealth or improve your long-term financial position. Think mortgages on a home that hopefully appreciates.
Student loans for valuable education that boosts earning potential.
Or business loans used strategically to grow a company. They usually have lower interest rates and are seen more as investments.
And bad debt.
That's typically used to buy things that depreciate or aren't essential consumer goods. Credit card debt from clothes, dining out, vacations, electronics.
Right. Often carries high interest rates and just traps you in repayment without creating any lasting value.
So how does debt specifically keep you broke? The material boils it down. Those relentless interest payments eat up cash flow. Money that could be saved or invested just vanishes.
It severely limits funds for savings or investments.
The stress and anxiety negatively impact everything, including your ability to earn or make good decisions.
Limits future opportunities too, like getting a mortgage, because of high debt-to-income ratios.
And critically, it keeps you trapped in that cycle of needing to borrow more just to survive.
But the good news is, breaking free is possible. It takes strategy, discipline, but it can be done.
Absolutely. The guide outlines a clear path. First step, face your debt honestly. No more hiding.
Gather every single bill, statement, login, list it all out. Who you owe, how much, the interest rate, minimum payment, due date.
Clarity, even though it might feel scary at first, actually reduces that paralyzing fear.
Then, create a budget that actually works for paying down debt. Track income and expenses ruthlessly.
Find areas to cut back. Even small amounts add up when you throw them at debt. Prioritize essentials, then debt repayment.
Crucially, stop adding new debt. Cut up the cards if you have to.
Live within your means using cash or debit. Avoid those buy now, pay later things unless you are absolutely certain you can pay it off right away.
Choose a debt repayment strategy. The guide discusses two main ones.
Right. The debt snowball, paying off the smallest balance first, regardless of interest rate. Gives you psychological wins, builds momentum.
Or the debt avalanche, paying off the highest interest rate first. Mathematically, this saves you the most money over time.
Debt consolidation can also work, combining debts into one loan, maybe at a lower rate. But a big caution there.
You absolutely must have the discipline to stop creating new debt, or you'll just end up worse off.
Definitely. And don't be afraid to negotiate with creditors. Call them. Explain your situation. Many are willing to work out lower rates or payment plans.
Build an emergency fund. Even starting with $500 or $1,000 is vital.
Yes. This stops you from falling back into debt when surprises inevitably happen, car repair, medical bill.
Eventually aim for 3 to 6 months of living expenses in that fund.
Increase your income if you can. A side gig, selling stuff you don't need, extra shifts. Any extra cash thrown at debt accelerates the process.
And seek professional help if you're feeling totally overwhelmed. Nonprofit credit counseling agencies or financial advisors can offer structured plans and support.
The material also warns against common debt pitfalls, ignoring small debts, relying on predatory payday loans,
Overusing balance transfers if you haven't changed the underlying spending habits.
or taking out new debt just to pay off old debt without fixing the core issues.
Debt limits your future in really profound ways, doesn't it? It steals time and freedom, not just money.
Cripples your ability to save for retirement, fund education, invest, handle emergencies. It forces you into survival mode.
The guide is clear. The sooner you break free, the sooner you reclaim your life and your money.
And this whole process requires a big mindset shift, from feeling like a victim of debt.
To taking on the role of a victor, actively conquering it.
Exactly. Take responsibility, learn from mistakes without letting them define you, and celebrate every single payment that gets you closer to freedom.
Those real-life stories from the material really drive it home. Sarah getting out of $50 in credit card debt.
Right. By tracking, negotiating, using the snowball method, debt-free in 3 years.
Or Mike, consolidating, cutting expenses, getting a part-time job, starting to invest the extra.
These show it's possible no matter how deep the hole feels if you have a plan and stick to it.
Imagine that freedom after debt. Your paycheck builds your future, not just paying creditors for the past.
That's peace of mind. That's control. The guide calls debt a prison, but it makes it clear you hold the key. The strategies are the tools, the decision and commitment are yours.
Okay, so mindset foundation, plan to tackle debt. Now many people think, great, now I just need to make more money.
Which brings us to the next big section, beyond the paycheck income and the ceiling. This tackles what the guide calls the income illusion.
That belief that simply earning more is the magic secret to financial freedom.
It feels so intuitive, doesn't it? Earn more, problems vanish. But the guide points out this is actually a really powerful trap.
Because without addressing the mindset and habits we've already talked about,
More income often just leads to more spending, sometimes even deeper financial problems.
why isn't just earning more always the answer? The material brings up that surprising truth again. Lots of high-income earners are incredibly stressed financially.
Right. Earning more often comes with the pressure or the temptation to spend more.
This is the classic trap of lifestyle inflation, or lifestyle creep.
Exactly. As your income rises, your spending subtly, or maybe not so subtly, rises with it. You upgrade the car, the house, eat out more.
And this pattern just eats up raises and bonuses almost instantly. It creates this frustrating illusion of progress.
You feel like you're doing better because you're spending more, but your savings aren't growing, debt might still be there, net worth stagnates or gets worse.
This illusion, the material argues, can trap people in this perpetual chase, always needing the next raise just to keep up with their own escalating bills.
And social comparisons are like pouring gasoline on that fire.
Oh, yeah. Keeping up with the Joneses, influence from media, peer pressure, it drives spending on status symbols instead of assets that build wealth.
It's a powerful, often unconscious force.
The guide really hammers this. Earning more without improving your financial skills, budgeting, tracking, investing, is like trying to fill a leaky bucket.
Money flows in, but if you don't know how to manage it, it just flows right back out. Ignoring financial literacy is so dangerous, especially as income grows.
The section then introduces something many people feel: the income ceiling.
That frustrating point where your earnings just plateau, despite your best efforts, feels like an invisible barrier making growth really hard.
Why do people hit this ceiling? Again, it often links back to mindset.
A fixed belief about their earning potential, maybe lack of confidence to negotiate.
But also practical things. Lack of negotiation skills, relying only on a single job income.
Staying too long in a comfort zone that no longer serves you financially. And yes, sometimes external systemic barriers or economic conditions play a role too.
Revisiting those mindset blocks, I don't deserve more, fear of asking, fear of change, they can actively keep people stuck below their potential.
One incredibly simple yet powerful skill highlighted here is negotiation.
It's not an innate talent, right?
Yeah.
It's a skill you can learn and practice.
Exactly. And studies consistently show skilled negotiators earn significantly more over their careers. The steps involve research, documenting achievements, practicing your pitch, timing.
And being ready to walk away if needed.
So, how do you increase income without falling into that lifestyle inflation trap? The material offers smart strategies, crucially. Automate savings and investments the moment your income increases.
Divert a percentage before you even see the extra money hit your checking account.
Make a deliberate choice to live below your new, higher means. Keep your current lifestyle. Use the extra to build wealth, pay debt, save, invest.
Invest in yourself. Courses, certifications, new skills that increase your market value, often the highest ROI investment you can make.
Diversify income streams. Don't rely just on one job. Explore side gigs, rentals, online businesses, investments. Multiple streams spread risk and boost cash flow.
And set clear financial goals tied to that increased income. What is this extra money for? Gives it purpose and direction.
Additional strategies to break an income ceiling include continuous skill development, building a personal brand or network,
Leveraging technology, maybe exploring entrepreneurship carefully.
and cultivating passive income streams, money coming in with minimal ongoing effort. Networking is vital too, opening doors to opportunities.
The material really reinforces the difference between a wealth-building mindset and just an earning more mindset.
Yeah, the wealth mindset prioritizes keeping and growing the money saving, investing, controlling spending, thinking long-term about assets versus liabilities.
Turning extra income into actual wealth means deploying it strategically. First, kill high-interest debt.
Then solidify that emergency fund, maximize retirement contributions, invest in growth assets, reinvest returns for compounding.
There's definitely a psychological challenge, though, in changing spending habits as income rises.
Right.
Saying no, delaying upgrades.
Requires self-awareness to spot your triggers when you have more money, and discipline to stick to the plan. Maybe find non-financial rewards for progress.
Common pitfalls to avoid with the income illusion. Immediately inflating spending with bonuses, lifestyle envy from social media.
Becoming complacent just because you earn more, continuing to rely only on one income source.
Those real-life examples illustrate it perfectly. Jane doubling her income but still being broke until she tackled lifestyle inflation and automated savings.
Or David, using a part-time job just to fund investments, retiring early without a huge salary.
The conclusion. Breaking the income ceiling and turning income into wealth isn't just hard work. It's smart work, bigger thinking, deliberate action, and managing the money once it arrives.
Earning more can open doors, absolutely, but it is not a magic bullet. Without the right money mindset and disciplined habits, more income often just fuels more spending.
Breaking that income illusion requires awareness, discipline, and a real plan to channel increased income into wealth building.
Okay, so mindset, debt, income. Now, how do you manage the money actually flowing through your hands day to day? Section 4. The leaky bucket smart spending.
Right. The emphasis here is, look, spending is unavoidable, but how you spend is critical for building wealth versus staying broke.
Smart spending, the guide argues, is intentional, strategic, conscious.
And your spending habits are critical because money is like water in a bucket, right?
Right.
If the leaks you're spending are bigger than the inflow,
You'll never fill it up. You won't have anything left to save or invest. So many people focus only on increasing income, but ignore the spending leaks.
the guide really digs into the psychology behind spending. It's tied to emotions, upbringing, culture, social pressures.
Emotional spending when stressed or bored, social spending to keep up, impulse buys. Recognizing your personal triggers is presented as vital.
The fundamental principle seems simple, but is so powerful when applied, distinguishing between needs and wants.
Needs are the essentials: housing, food, utilities, transport to work. Wants are desires, things that make life enjoyable but aren't strictly necessary.
Prioritizing needs and consciously controlling wants is the main way to stop those financial leaks.
And budgeting is presented as your essential roadmap for this, not about restriction, but conscious allocation.
A realistic, flexible budget allocates for essentials, savings, debt repayment, and reasonable wants. The 50-30-20 rule is mentioned as a starting point.
50% needs, 30% wants, 20% savings, debt paydown. But the crucial part is tracking actual spending against the plan and adjusting.
And yes, avoiding lifestyle inflation shows up again here because spending is where it happens.
It's the major trap that eats up income increases. Keep spending increases below income increases. Simple rule, hard to follow sometimes.
Smart shopping strategies are also key. Maximizing value, comparison shopping, buying staples in bulk sometimes.
Using coupons, planning purchases around sales, maybe choosing quality over cheap if it lasts longer, avoiding brand loyalty bias.
Cutting recurring expenses is pointed out as powerful too, those quiet drains.
Audit all subscriptions, streaming, gym, apps cancel unused ones. Negotiate bills annually, internet, phone, insurance. A phone call can save hundreds.
Mindful dining and entertainment, big leak areas for many. Plan meals at home, pack lunch, explore free low-cost fun.
And the impact of small daily spending, the latte factor idea, but broader. Snacks, bottled water, convenience stops, rideshare.
They add up significantly. Tracking them often reveals surprising amounts you can cut or reallocate.
Smart spending is also directly connected to avoiding debt. Impulsive or emotional spending often drives credit card use.
Make spending decisions within your budget before pulling out the card. Avoid credit for non-essentials you can't pay off immediately. Pay balances in full monthly.
Aligning spending with values and goals also makes it intentional. If travel matters, budget for it, but cut elsewhere. Make spending feel purposeful.
Using technology and rules can help too. Budgeting apps give real-time awareness. Personal rules, like a 24-hour wait for big purchases, create friction against impulse buys.
And the role of gratitude and contentment, being grateful for what you have, reduces the urge to buy more stuff just to feel better or keep up.
Ultimately, smart spending is foundational because it frees up money to save and invest, even small amounts saved consistently.
When invested wisely, grow exponentially through compounding. It accelerates financial freedom. It's about directing money consciously.
That case study of Mark is perfect. Decent salary, always broke, tracked expenses, found leaks, dining impulse, budgeted, cooked more.
Freed up $500 a month, started investing it consistently in an index fund, build a substantial nest egg in 5 years just by plugging leaks. No raise needed.
Common spending mistakes to avoid. Buying to impress others, using credit for lifestyle inflation, ignoring small expenses, emotional purchases, not reviewing the budget.
Practical exercises. Track all expenses for 30 days. Categorize, identify leaks. Set a spending goal. Plan meals, groceries. Audit subscriptions.
The conclusion here, smart spending is a mindset shift, a daily practice. Making money serve your dreams, not just letting it slip away. Wealth is as much about what you keep as what you earn.
Which brings us finally to Section 5, the building blocks creating wealth.
Right, after mindset, debt, income, spending. This is where you shift from just managing money to actively building long-term security and freedom.
Wealth building isn't just a big bank balance. It's lasting financial security, freedom of choice, having assets that generate income and appreciate, making money work for you.
And the guide stresses the absolute non-negotiable foundation. Savings, specifically a robust emergency fund.
3 to 6 months of essential living expenses. This isn't an investment, it's your critical safety net.
It prevents surprises, job loss, medical bill, car repair from derailing everything, forcing you into debt or cashing out investments early. Requires disciplined saving first.
And as the guide emphasizes, saving alone isn't enough long-term because of inflation.
Right, inflation eats away at cash. This is where investing comes in. Putting money to work so it can grow faster than inflation.
And generate compounding returns. That eighth wonder of the world, affect money making money, growing exponentially over time.
The material walks through different investment types. Stocks, ownership in companies, bonds, loans to governments, corporations.
Diversified baskets like mutual funds or ETFs, spreading risk automatically. Real estate for rental income and appreciation. Businesses. Alternatives like commodities or crypto, though often higher risk.
A core principle stressed. Diversification. Don't put all eggs in one basket.
Spread investments across asset classes, industries, geographies, reduces risk, smooths out the ride.
Equally important, investing with a long-term perspective. Wealth builders think in decades, not days.
Resist emotional reactions to market swings. Time in the market, letting compounding work is key, not timing the market.
A key characteristic of freedom is passive income, generating income from assets with minimal ongoing effort.
Rent, dividends, royalties, automated online businesses. Passive income eventually covers living expenses without trading time for money. That's the goal for many.
And underpinning all this, continuous financial literacy. Understanding compound interest, risk return, asset allocation, tax implications, vital for informed decisions. Keep learning.
Mindset shifts for wealth building. Think like an owner. Focus on assets. Avoid lifestyle inflation as wealth grows. Be patient. Embrace calculated risks. Be disciplined. Stay adaptable.
Common wealth building mistakes to avoid. Chasing get-rich-quick schemes, usually traps.
Ignoring fees and taxes on returns, trying to time the market, not having clear goals, neglecting wealth protection like insurance or estate planning later on.
The guide also clarifies the role of debt in wealth building. Not all debt is
Like,
bad, right?
right. Strategic use of low-interest loans to acquire appreciating assets, investment property. A business can accelerate wealth, but requires careful planning and knowing when debt helps versus harms.
Tax efficiency matters too. Taxes impact growth over decades. Learn about tax-advantaged accounts, 401ks, IRAs, deductions. Consult professionals as needed.
Creating a wealth plan is essential, like a business plan for your finances. Outlines goals, strategies, timelines, risk management, keeps you focused.
Finally, the material touches on giving and legacy. Wealth isn't just accumulation. Many find purpose in giving back.
That case study of Sarah starting modest, but consistently saving, learning, investing diversely over 20 years.
Achieving financial independence to pursue passions. Built through intentional habits, discipline, learning, patience. Not overnight success.
Action steps to start building wealth today are clear. Build that emergency fund first. Automate savings investments. Choose a diversified portfolio. Educate continuously. Seed review goals. Avoid lifestyle inflation. Seek advice when needed.
The powerful conclusion is, building wealth is a journey, definitely not a sprint.
It takes knowledge, patience, discipline, the right mindset. But every small, intentional step compounds over time. The guide gives you the tools. Starting is up to you.
So we've taken this deep dive journey, started with mindset as the bedrock,
Explored breaking free from debt chains,
seeing beyond the income illusion, breaking ceilings,
mastering spending, the leaky bucket.
and finally, building wealth block by block.
And the core message woven through it all is pretty profound. This transformation isn't instant.
No, it demands awareness, seeing where you are and why. Patience, persistence, discipline, courage to break old habits.
But the incredible, empowering truth is that the power to make that change, to use these tools, is genuinely within you.
Remember, every person you admire financially, they likely started with doubts and fears like anyone else.
The difference is they chose to confront those things and actively break free. And so can you.
The material suggests the greatest wealth isn't just the bank balance.
It's the peace of mind, the freedom to live life on your own terms that comes from financial control.
So, the final thought to leave you with. What is one small intentional step you will take today on that essential journey towards that freedom?